Welcome to Inside Texas Politics. An emergency fix ongoing this morning to that widespread natural gas leak just north of Love Field. But this morning we're going to focus on the political response, how we ended up with hundreds of miles of old pipe in Dallas that other cities got rid of long ago. The situation is unfolding in State Representative Rafael Anchia's district, a Dallas Democrat. He is in studio this morning to talk about this, and joining the questioning as always is Bud Kennedy of the Star-Telegram. Representative, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me, gentlemen.
Let's start off with the basic question. Do you have confidence in the pipeline system that's under Dallas right now?
Look, we're in a situation right now where there are a lot more questions than there are answers. I mean, we found out after the deadly explosion on Friday that there had actually been 2 explosions prior to that on Wednesday and Thursday. Then immediately after that we had the evacuation, then people came back to their homes, and right after that 3,000 homes are going to be shut off. No natural gas, no hot water, and people are now moving out of their homes, going to hotels. So it's been a major displacement. I think the way to approach this is threefold. First, we have to be there for the grieving families and the people who are displaced in community to make sure that they're okay. It's a lot of people. 3,000 homes is a lot of people. And I went to the mass last night for the little girl who had passed away, right. And it's clear that she had touched a lot of different lives through her cheer camp work and then through her school. I mean, the church was packed, and so we have to help that family and that community grieve. Step 2 is to make sure people are safe, right? And so at that point we need to stay on Atmos to make sure that they are clearing out the old pipe in that neighborhood, replacing it with new pipe, and that's why people are not going to have gas for a while. And then finally, we need to make sure that the Railroad Commission investigation, which I called for right after the explosion on Friday, runs its course along with the NTSB at the federal level, because we need answers. We need to figure out what was missed in the protocol between the explosions on Wednesday and Thursday and then the big explosion on Friday that took this little girl's life.
We'll get to some of those issues in just a moment here too, but to make sure I'm clear, do you have confidence in the pipeline system that's under Dallas?
Look, I think this may be just the tip of the iceberg, candidly. If you're in homes that were built in the teens, 20s, and 30s, I don't have a lot of confidence that that infrastructure is in good shape if it has not been replaced. We need to understand what the replacement schedule is, what time frames we're looking at, and we need to actually see a map of where the old infrastructure is. We have shifting soils with all this rain. We've had earthquakes in northwest Dallas. So it's really important to figure out what the intersection is between the old infrastructure, geology, geography. Those are all the questions that people want answered.
Is there something about the geology of this that makes it more than a Dallas problem? We see and hear Dallas, but there have been incidents in Garland, Wiley in the past 20 years. Is this something that's more than just Dallas?
The answer is that we don't know, but it could be a factor. When you have a hard Barnett shale and then a more porous geology on top of it, it is entirely possible that that's played some role, but the bottom line is that there are going to be a lot of factors. It's also the aging infrastructure. It's also the couplets. It's also the material that the pipes were made of, how old the houses are, and all that needs to form part of a risk assessment as we go ahead and change out those pipes in the future.
And are you in touch with Cheryl and Craddock or the Railroad Commission? Have they been responsive to this, or are they playing their role?
We immediately reached out to the Railroad Commission, called for the investigation, and our office has been in touch with their government affairs people throughout the entire time.
Atmos said it's been ranking its pipelines, obviously, as according to risk, but the pipeline that exploded a week and a half ago, that wasn't on the replacement list.
That's a problem. That's a concern.
Does Atmos know what it's doing?
Well, look, I think policymakers at all levels have to look at this risk assessment, have to look at the assumptions that go into this risk assessment. Because, when I talked to constituents in that district, they said, hey, we've been complaining about gas leaks for months. And, they've come out and fixed some, they haven't come out and fixed others, but it smelled like gas for a long, long time. So I think policymakers from the top to the bottom, Railroad Commission down to local elected officials, need to understand what assumptions are built into that risk assessment and whether or not we need to accelerate it.
Channel 8 reported on the couplings, problem with couplings in the past. It's not coming up in this, but are couplings a problem here too?
It's entirely possible. We don't know, but it's entirely possible that couplings are a problem. You all have done some investigative reporting for a long time about houses that have blown up in other areas. The challenge there is different geography, also different geology, right? So we need to understand if there's a link between those events and these events as well.
What more should the state be doing right now, do you think, to prevent these tragedies?
I've been critical for a long time of the Railroad Commission, usually in its role as a regulator on oil and gas, abandoned wells, et cetera. We need to make sure that the inspection schedule by the Railroad Commission is as aggressive as it needs to be.
Is it right now?
It's unclear. We just don't have enough facts yet to make that determination. We need to make sure that the Railroad Commission is doing their job. We need to make sure that Atmos is doing its job, and then we need to make sure that local elected officials are doing our job as well.
I want to switch off to politics briefly as well, too. House Republicans vow to select a new speaker in caucus, all alone, which would essentially cut out Democrats. What's your reaction to that?
I think it's going to be the toughest execution possible. I mean, if they stick that landing, it'll be an Olympic feat, candidly. Look, there is a civil war going on in the Republican caucus, and not only among members of the House. You have the governor weighing in, you have the lieutenant governor weighing in, and I think for them to coalesce around a speaker candidate is going to be difficult. The other thing is, I think we're going to pick up a bunch of seats in November. This is going to be a good year for Democrats, and Democrats are going to play a role in selecting the next speaker. There are a lot of good candidates out there that I think we can get behind. And look, we need to serve as a check against the Senate and the executive power of the governor, something that with the role we played last time as well.
30 seconds left here, Rafael. Democrat turnout obviously is up for the Tuesday election. Do you see a statewide office, though, that Democrats might really have a chance of getting come November? Sure.
I've said for a long time that nobody's going to predict the breakthrough, right? Just like it happened in Dallas County when nobody thought Democrats were going to sweep the county in 06. It's going to happen like that. Pundits are not going to see it. Experts are not going to see it. And it's going to happen. Maybe Beto O'Rourke, maybe Mike Collier, maybe somebody way down the ballot that's going to break through. People forget, when you look at the historical data on this, Republicans in some cases down ballot have only won with 51% statewide. So we're a lot closer than people are. With this energy and this presidency, I think it's going to be a big year.
State Rep Rafael Anchia, good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks so much.